Still going? After the serpent tri-stars disappeared, Misty lay there half-conscious, soaked through by the heavy summer rain. Yeah, Misty as well. Decided she was going to try and do this by herself, and look at that got her. You're not a hired gun anymore. You know he's right. Misty had been saved from the brink of death with the help of Mash. She soon found herself trembling with a chill after the pain diminished. Yeah. Misty tried to pull herself together and find a solution to her current predicament, but nobody came to aid her in this lonely, dark alley. Hey, Peter! Don Bruce. Jesus. Misty woke up. Found herself riding on someone's broad, warm back. Misty barely regained consciousness at the sound of a familiar voice. She tried to look in the direction the voice was coming from, but she was too tired to even open her eyes. So she just called his name, closing them. Misty joked with his shaking voice, even if she was on the verge of fainting. Seeing Misty this exhausted almost brought him to tears. Robin? Maybe? Yeah. So we walk back up. Cheers, Don. Wouldn't have expected it. Misty opened her eyes with the last of her strength, and she saw some familiar clothing. They were the grey garbs of that bartender she had been saying hello to every morning as of late. She finally saw who was carrying her. Suddenly, a burst of laughter came out of her. You were expecting someone else? Don's great. We're not the ones you need to thank. It was someone else who found you lying around here. As your bloody clothes show, you had a grievous injury, but it was also healed by someone else. It's complicated. She exerted herself to move, but her body just wouldn't listen. It must be Anne who saved me then. Yeah. Don knows more than he lets on, you know. Dr. Shooter Street. Well, it's more of a life-saving doctor than just a simple pharmacist. Criminal wasn't the word she expected to hear from Don. He should only know her as an employee of the company. As the conversation slowed to a halt, only the sound of rain remained, filling the empty space. Yeah, you kind of are. He's this town's legend. Carry yourself if we're going to talk about me. Thing is, Don kind of doesn't want that. It's long indeed. "16 years ago, War Orphan concentration camp on front armor. Aww. In the middle of the World War, the Aether Empire was at the heart of the fighting. But after the war, the Empire found itself in the midst of a refugee crisis." We're aware of this. Oh yeah, we mentioned about this earlier. Remember that the tribe sort of lady who gave up a lot of land because there was refugees and stuff? The combined revolt of the Karasu and Aether Empire's scorched earth tactics turned the formerly generous lands of Aether into a barren wasteland. The people of the Empire who lost their homes had no choice but to flee the capital, Ter, or the front armor duchies near Ter. Eventually, Valerius III, Emperor of Aether, had to give imperial land to the people and took from the imperial treasury to support the restoration of the barren lands. The Emperor's preemptive generosity was enough to calm the anger of the people who had been on the brink of rebellion. 4 years after the war, most of the refugees were able to start a new life in their homes. Except for 300,000 war orphans. God. Who were becoming another problem for the Empire. Most of them were children who either lost their families during the war, or were abandoned due to poverty, or were born from war crimes. Yikes. The Empire had known they were a problem that would eventually have to be dealt with after the war. And since they weren't mature enough to show dissatisfaction or strong enough to group up and rebel against the Empire, they were always considered less important than other problems. Misty was 5 when she arrived in the refugee camps and spent another 4... She grew up in a refugee camp. Damn. No wonder the underworld happened. This is up there. Every time food was distributed, there was total mayhem. Since there were not enough rations for the children, fights always broke up when lining up to receive food. Even if one succeeded in getting their food, it was normal for them to be robbed or mugged in plain sight. The overseers of the camp didn't even bother, and only took action when the situation got extreme. Because there was never enough overseers to control all the orphans. Tired and ill-supported, overseers found no difference between the orphans in the camp and vermin on streets searching for food in dumpsters. Jeez. This is one thing I've always complimented this game on, and I still to this day, that it does bring in some pretty difficult topics and situations and stuff. And, like, you know, we've seen before about, like, discrimination with Ali, and obviously going on towards, like, the spoons and stuff like that. You know, and this is something that happens today, sadly, in several parts of the world, you know. I can never not commend Dandelion's bravery sometimes for some of the topics they're willing to introduce into this game, you know? It's pretty wild. But fair play. So, the orphans had to stay on their guard and protect their food and eat their hard-earned meals as fast as they could. Misty, aged 9. She looked back when someone touched her shoulder. Oh boy. Oh boy. Usually, kids tend to give up their belongings when exposed to danger. This one never did until he came in to calm the situation. So there was a completely throwaway line earlier in this DLC from Anne when she first met Misty and noted that her hair color was kind of the same as Luna's. Complete random throwaway line in the middle of a conversation. It turns out there was a lot more to it than I could have realized. Belladonna is the head of Vendetta, where of course there are many dangerous people affiliated with, such as Marco and of course Luna. Jeez. Pascal chortled heartily after hearing the overseer's anecdote. Feeling awkward, the overseer kept talking while scratching his head. No one has dared to attack her. Yeah. Belladonna scanned through the other children of the camp. Abandoned children. The Empire executed a policy which reassigned the war orphans of the concentration camp to private institutions to solve the problem. And the criminal organization Vendetta took advantage of this policy to accomplish their shady goals. Belladonna handed over a thick stack of bills to the overseer with a smile. The overseer bowed with a big grin on his face. So Belladonna, Pat, and Vendetta basically were recruiting child assassins from war orphanages. That's messed up. Like the shirt, by the way. Misty was sniped while she was chasing the Serpent Tri-Stars. And she took her sick leave without explaining the reason to the company. First day of her sick leave. As Tim the pharmacist had warned, she spent all day in bed in agony. Second day. She was in bad shape in the morning, but it got better at night. Day 3. Misty woke up early, finished her housework, and started to think about her life while sitting on the balcony. I mean, maybe? I don't think it's quite that simple. The day she was left alone in the heavy rain, she couldn't stop thinking about why her life turned out this unusual. A life of danger and peril. But it was the only choice she had to survive. Misty talked to her cactus, and the cactus remained silent. She kept talking to the unresponsive cactus. I appreciate the chippiness. Dr. Pascal. Serpent Tri-Stars. Her head is now filled with many things that bind her to her past. "15 years ago." What? A new life has started for those who left the concentration camp. A life with a tight schedule planned by drill masters 24/7. Some of the children who were running at full speed fell on the sandy beach. The girl was almost crying about the unreasonable situation she'd gotten into. Children in the front of the row, not knowing their situation, were surprised by the drill masters shouting and started running like bats from hell. Julian, the sub-drill master of Group B, smiled bitterly while listening to Villarosa yelling at the children. Julian stared at number 32, who was outstanding in every aspect. Julian hadn't expected them to handle the drills well when he first saw the children. Most of them were rebellious, underdeveloped bodies due to malnutrition, and occasionally disorders like ADHD or aphasia. Julian was astonished by the director's management that created these children who were capable of following the harsh training. It's a lion! Oh my god! Oh my god, look at that. My first eyes was caught by this. Then this. Then this. And then this. Mealtime was when the children experienced the most freedom and happiness. From the peaceful atmosphere to the quality and quantity of the meal, the ration they had in the concentration camp could not match what they were provided here. All of them were able to eat their fill as much as they wanted. And here, no one was standing ready to steal their food. Except for one thing. The pills and animal-shaped jelly that the dietitian provided to them. Like the food that they could have freely, these pills and jellies were different in shape and amount for each child. So it was natural that some curious ones were intrigued by them. Of course, they were interested in the jellies, not the pills. Oh, so adorable! With curious eyes, he reached for Misty's yellow lime jellies. Misty instinctively spoke out. Soon, every child and adult in the cafeteria was staring at Misty. You could talk? She hadn't. Villarosa approached the kids, quickly understanding the situation, looking at the surprised Vetch and angry Misty. Afraid of Villarosa, Vetch returned to his place. Correct decision! Soon after Vetch was back in his seat, Villarosa stared down at number 53, or Misty. Misty remained silent, even though Villarosa yelled in her face. Villarosa made young Misty look up to her by forcing her chin up with her club. Villarosa pushed Misty's food tray away with her club. Her food tray was almost going to fall off the edge of the table. Misty unconsciously made a sound when Villarosa pushed her tray. Oh, no! I've said multiple times that this game, with its various flashbacks, I think I've done an amazing job of recounting the histories. Irene's, Bianca's. I mean, obviously the whole raid stuff as well was fascinating. Just so much great stuff. After half a year of silence, Misty spoke while almost crying. The children were gossiping about her speaking after seeing her communicate with nothing but gestures and blank stares for over half a year. The children scattered away and started to eat their meals again. Misty was quietly staring at the floor. Villarosa put her hand on Misty's shoulder and said, under the warm sunlight, afternoon drill begins shortly after lunchtime. These were orphans, never had any chances for a proper education. So most of them couldn't read, and they couldn't even count or make basic calculations. Each week, Pascal the director provided drill masters with learning materials tailored to each child. Their basic learning capabilities were cultivated, and their academic achievement carefully monitored. For the children who were illiterate, he made them repeatedly write letters, and the children who were poor in math provided with learning materials with pictures. The drill masters made daily reports on the learning progress of the children to Pascal, and Pascal responded with revised lessons. Julian disdained this kind of cramming education, as he was raised by Ata's traditional method that prioritized the subject's interest and motivation. However, as he experienced the results of Pascal's educational method, that only considered the child's learning achievement, ability, and understanding, he reflected on whether his thoughts may have been biased. It's so weird, like, just referring to them as, like, their numbers, like... Jeez. This is, like, kind of surreal watching this back. Quietly. The carrot and the stick. As old as the sands of time. Freedom is given to the children who finish the day's assignment. As they experience the fruits of their own labour, they pay more attention in their studies. On the other hand, supplementary lessons throughout the whole weekend and corporal punishment are given to those who couldn't fulfill their goal. As they experience the fear of punishment and loss of freedom, they pay more attention in their studies. Soon, Gillian finds Misty left alone in the classroom. The child considered to be suffering aphasia. Aphasia, I think it is actually. As she was considered to have a learning disorder, the learning materials given to her were easier than that given to the others. As a result, she was falling behind in her study. Junior approached Misty, studying alone. Oh, so adorable. Misty nodded her head without saying anything, as she always did. He felt sorry. He felt sorry when he saw Misty being the same as usual. As Misty looked back on Julian, he put his hands on Misty's shoulder and said, "Study more and get smarter. You'll be able to say everything you want when you know everything properly." Interesting that Julian's kind of like, you know, of the other things were like, kind of like, there's a degree of sympathy, I think, maybe for Misty, you know? It's kind of touching. One year later. Vetch is on his way. For 2 years, they lived together and took harsh drills together. And now, some of them were informed that they were going to be adopted by new parents. And the subject matters of adopted children were called. They had mixed feelings. Those who wanted to stay, those who wanted to leave, those who wanted to be with their friends. Want or not, they became attached to each other. Vetch is alright. 33 was a mischief among the kids. Most of the children hated his pranks, but his cheerful actions also helped smooth the overall tension of the children who were having trouble adapting to their new environment. He was always first to get out into the playground and made jokes at the drill masters, and sometimes he even escaped from the institute. Number 33. He was free at the institute, and it was his home and playground. We also asked Wretched, who was almost crying right after he bid farewell to his friends. That's the thing, like, everything crazy that's sort of going on, they're still kids, you know? Vetch looked at Villarosa as he turned away from his old friends. Oh. 1 year later. Not doing too great. We're going to learn about flammable chemical substances. A substance is capable of being set on fire and burns quickly when the temperature is right. I've not been highlighting too much of the things going around, but there's a lot of clues being hidden in plain sight of stuff that's going on. Just I don't see any need to point them out. You can discover those on your own. Let's start with things that we can easily obtain in daily life. Can anyone tell us about them? As some children went away, the atmosphere of the Institute changed. Afternoon lessons were changed from basic lessons to experts. The children could no longer be seen playing outside of class, since it got harder and more overwhelming each day. Yep. I'm guessing as the kids were like obviously being like given like obviously adopted by other families, I think what it actually was is probably Delphi basically, you know, culling them from the program. Damn. It's impressive. Oh, that's so it's grey in there instead. What kind of pointless knowledge is this? It's a good question. The afternoon class had always been cram sessions that didn't care about the students' interests or motivation, but it was at least tailored to each student for their learning. But now, it was delivered regardless of one's achievement or skill. Some of the children who felt difficulty started to give up following the class. But the others, including Misty, tried even harder if they couldn't understand. Yeah. Some of the children gave up fulfilling their quotas and chose punishment. But the others studied overnight as they had to catch up to the class. Good grief, look at this. Who are we? We're the strong. As Villarosa shouted, the children answered through the storm as one. Running through the storm, many of the children failed to complete the drill. But the eyes of the drill masters were looking at those who remained, not failed. Misty looked at the two kids who were running in front of her. This is really fascinating watching this and listening to everything going on, but like there is a degree of like sadism to what is going on, you know. Time passed, and suddenly another child found their new home. Rain always grumbled that he'd be the last one to be adopted. He always thought about the other children's good points and said, they're gonna be next. He insisted that people always loved cute, handsome, smart, clever kids. And his grumbling relieved many other children as he was always last in class and drills. It's kind of messed up as well that like what they think is going on or something is going on is actually the complete opposite. Assuming he's going to be the last to be chosen because he's the one falling behind. But of course that's not what's going on. Damn. He felt sorry for his friends, who always gave him a kind word when he grumbled. A million thoughts crossed their minds. There's the three right there. A farewell from one of them still remaining, after a long silence. Damn. Damn. One spoke harshly to hide his feelings. He made the others who were listening sad, and himself sadder. Every child bade him farewell. This is a lengthy section, by the way, but I think this this is a super important plot and explaining everything that's currently ongoing in this DLC, so it's worth the time. Oh no, you won't. Some children left the institute, but the remaining never stopped growing. They went on running on the beach, even without the drill masters. Love is for morons. As the children grew, the drills got harder every day. But without the drill masters, the children talked more. Misty and Mash had a fist fight. Anyone could see it coming when they harshly argued in the morning. As a result, Misty, Mash, and even Ortega, who tried to stop the fight, had to run through the assault course. Despite Venerosa's roaring, the children were reaching exhaustion. Really? A secret place where children hid from the drill masters. Misty leveled a withering glare at Eris, while Mash made a disgruntled, disgusted grimace. Ortega hid his face, feeling disgusted, while Gaia smiled bitterly. Oh? They said they're gonna shut down this place the next year. I know. It's a long time, man. Seems it at the time for sure. Learning cloak and dagger techniques lately. I don't think that's useful. Your stealth technique will be useless because it's so predictable. It's funny, but there's a real sad underlining to this conversation. He was half right. Other than him, the other children didn't have a clue about how to use their skills in modern life. What the Institute taught them was almost about survival and subduing others. The war's over. They say it's peaceful out there. Something must have happened. It's back in the present. We've thought about the past coursing through her mind all morning. Misty distracted herself with a game she hadn't yet completed. I know the feeling. We don't know yet what happened, but I suspect we will. What we do know is that the TriStars and Misty go back a long, long way. Missed calls from Robin pile up in Misty's call log. But she still played her game all day. Aw, look at that. Eventually, her phone battery ran dry. Misty stared at her phone, turned off. Focus on her game. Yeah, it's been good. Mash, Ortega, Gaia. As the memories that she had buried in her past haunted her more, Misty poured herself deeper into the screen. Pretty wild, eh? Pretty wild. So that is going to bring us to an end for this video. Yeah. Whenever the game does decide to look back at people's and their past, it's not been great, has it? It's awful. So, let's spend some time off screen. I'm going to go ahead and putting back together my party. I've got a bit of work to do with some builds and tweaking and stuff like that. I'm also probably going to do the Gold Hand Reconstruction District mission off screen. It's a hunting mission, so I assume this is going to be almost solidly just like... I don't know exactly. I'll have the recording going on the background just in case something surprising happens. I don't quite expect it. And then we will return, assumably, the main game at the Crow's Ruin outskirts. There is very, very little left of this game, and this series as a whole. No doubt I'm going to miss this game when it comes to an end. No doubt. By the way, we are granted some pay rewards, even though we didn't actually arrest them, but trying to think about that. So I will go ahead and I will mess with some builds, maybe get some equipment, do a bit of work. What happens now, though? We still need to deal with the TriStars and ultimately Pascal himself. But yeah. Misty's background is pretty bad. Maybe the Crimson Crow was basically just like an outlet for her in a way. Who knows? Anyways, folks, thank you much for watching. Take care of yourselves. Don's the absolute best. I'll see you next time.